Hello and welcome to the Onelife Big Night In quiz. We are so excited that you've joined us tonight on what is kind of the last night of lockdown. My name's Helen and I'm part of the Onelife team.
And I'm Rob. I'm part of the team for a church in Stirling in Scotland, which for those of you that don't know is just north of Glasgow and west of Edinburgh. And we love as a church just being able to partner with Onelife in their pursuit of young people and the best for them.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about that a lot tonight, and we're going to do a brilliant quiz. But first, Rob, I just want to ask you about something that I know you've been kind of nurturing during lockdown and growing and thinking about a lot. And I don't mean your 12-week-old daughter, but your hair is fantastic. Would you just talk us through it a little bit?
Yeah, so this is all natural. It's taken all of my energy, apart from having a daughter over lockdown. But for a lot of people, it brings around flashbacks of when I was 15. So when I was a teenager, I definitely didn't go to the barbers for a very long time, and this is what happens. So yeah, 15th of July in Scotland is when we are looking at being able to get back into barbers. So hopefully it'll be all sorted by then. But what I didn't do was I didn't opt for a family member to try and maintain it. But I hear that someone in your household may have done that, Helen.
Yeah, there was maybe too much trust going on. Actually, there was one very good haircut, and then a week later, we touched to do, and it just escalated, and it went to a Mohican and then a bald head, which was not what we were going for. But we've styled it out. As you can see, it wasn't me that was affected, fortunately, but it looks fine now. It looks fine now. And we're really excited about tonight. And, you know, it's our first time doing a live YouTube quiz. Me and Rob had just had enough of seeing other people on YouTube and knew it was our chance to become YouTube stars. And so thank you for watching this. But just, it might be a little bit clunky, but bear with us. We're doing our best, and we have an amazing team kind of behind us who've been doing all the behind the scenes stuff. But before we get into the quiz tonight, we're just going to have Liz, our director, come and join us and just tell us a little bit about what tonight is really all about.
Hello and welcome to Onelife's Big Night In. It is so good to have you with us in this virtual room. Whether you have just heard the name Onelife now for the first time as you've sat on the sofa, or whether you're an old timer, we love that you've come to join us for what is going to be the world's most incredible quiz. And slight confession is I'm terrible at quizzes. You can ask the team. But we're also going to get to share with you what's been happening for Onelife during COVID-19 and what we see God asking us for the future, what the sense of what we feel him leading us towards. So if for you, you're sitting here thinking, yeah, okay, but what is this Onelife thing? Then I have to tell you a story to explain a little bit more. I first came into contact with Onelife as a youth pastor in North London, and I brought my young group of young people along with me to one of their conferences. I will never forget walking through the doors of St Andrew's Chorleywood and just being immersed in this amazing culture where I was sort of treated like royalty but welcomed like family. And then once I'd got my head around that, I started to look around me and see that this was a space where young people and youth pastors listen to stories of Christians in business, of Christians in the arts, and how God was calling them to lead in these spaces. Suddenly, it dawned on me that I was being invited into this bigger vision, that Onelife was about young leaders, yes, young people leading now in their schools and in their families and in their churches and with their peers. But also, it was about them being invited into a much bigger adventure to take those leadership lessons from their relationship with Jesus out into every sphere of society. That young people were given a vision that if they could partner with Jesus, their faith could impact the media, it could impact education, politics, family, every part of influence of our world. And what was incredible was I was wowed by that. But as I turned and looked at the 15-year-olds that were with me, they were like, yes, they wanted that. And they stepped into that vision and that calling themselves. Now, that for me was quite a few years ago. So who is Onelife now? How does Onelife look through COVID-19? And what is God asking for us for the future? We've got all of those stories to come tonight. So we've got our COVID-19 story and some of the dreams for the future. But before we get into any of that, Helen, Rob, let the games begin.
And that's so great. And we'll be hearing more of the Onelife story from Liz, as well as story from Onelifers themselves throughout this evening. But you heard it yourself. It's time to switch off your phones, no Googling allowed. It's time to fill up your glass of choice. It's time to take your virtual seat and any snacks you may have and let the competitive spirit rise up within you as we see who's going to be crowned king or queen of Onelife's Big Night In.
And before we kick off, we've just got a couple of practicalities to go through. Firstly, hopefully you will already be in your team. I know a lot of you have already signed up online, and we have some wonderful team names. I think Quarantine has been the best I've heard so far, so well done for that. But maybe take a picture of your setup and tag us in it on Instagram or Facebook at Onelife Leaders, and a little shout out because we actually put out a quiz question on our Instagram earlier this week, and there was only one person that got it right, and that was Isla. So shout out to Isla, who is absolutely wonderful, and well done. She is on a good start for the quiz.
Each team should assign a team captain who is responsible for filling in the answer sheet and the team entry form. Now, for everyone who's already signed up, that link should have been sent out to you. You should have it. But if not, you can access it on the link just below me here. And that's a Google document sheet that you'll be able to fill in. Later on in the quiz, we will let you know when to submit that form. Please don't submit it beforehand, otherwise we'll lose some of your answers.
In this quiz, there are going to be 4 rounds, and each round is going to consist of 10 questions. Each question, you'll get about a minute to answer. And it might feel like a long time, but because some groups are going to be communicating via WhatsApp, that's really needed. So you'll have a minute for each question and a recap of all the questions at the end of each round.
Please use the chat feature on YouTube with any comments or suggestions. We're going to try and use some of those to do some shout outs throughout the evening. So please use that feature as you can. Brilliant.
And I know all of you are here just, for the moral victory, but there is also a prize for those of you who love prizes. And the prize is a £50 Amazon voucher. Just think what you could do with that. Maybe if you're in a team of 8, that might seem slightly less exciting. Maybe you could, buy something for someone else you love.
And last but no means least, just a reminder of the whole point of this evening. We've already mentioned it. This is a fundraiser. We're going to be sharing stories with you about some of the work that Onelife has been doing during COVID-19, but also hopes to continue to do so. So at any point this evening, please feel free to give, again, using that link below me just here. Once you get to that page, you'll be taken to an online giving page where there's more information about gift aid, one-off giving, regular giving, and all that kind of thing. But all the information you need is in that link just below.
Brilliant. So without further ado, we are going to begin round 1. So round 1 is all about general knowledge. So just general things that you'll know. Question 1. The tallest building in the world is located in which city? So that's the tallest building in the world is located in which city? What do you think, Rob? Is it in Stirling?
Stirling has quite a few tall buildings. We have the castle, we've got the Wallace Monument, and they are pretty high. They are all on hills, but I wouldn't say the tallest in the world. How about Watford? What does that look like?
Yeah, not loads of tall buildings here. A few tower blocks, which might be quite impressive. Other than that, I'm not sure there are. Yeah, I don't think it's Watford. So that's eliminated 2. Well, Watford isn't even a city. That hasn't eliminated anything for you.
Okay, we'll give you 10 more seconds to discuss your answer for that one. And then we'll go on to question number 2. Okay, second question. In which year was the first Toy Story film released in the UK? So that's in which year was the first Toy Story film released in the UK?
I really have no idea.
How many films are there now, though? How many Toy Story films do we have?
I think there are 4, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I think 4. I remember seeing number 3, and that felt like the end, I guess, a trilogy. But then I think they made a 4th. Have you seen the 4th one, Rob?
I haven't, no.
No.
Just a reminder, if you are looking to fill in quiz answers, you need to use the link below just to get that answer sheet. That's the best way, or the only way, to compete this evening for that £50 voucher, just using that link at the bottom of this slide.
Brilliant. So let's move on to question 3. What is the capital city of New Zealand? What is the capital city of New Zealand?
You've been to New Zealand, Helen? You ever visited? Been on holiday?
No, I haven't. I've been to Australia, but I've never been to New Zealand. But I hear really great things about it. And I also have friends that are there, and their Instagram just looks so beautiful. And I realise Instagram, everything has a filter, but I feel like it is just like very, very beautiful. Have you been?
No, I've never done Australia or New Zealand, so maybe one for the holiday list further down the line.
Long flight, but I think worth it.
Yeah, definitely need to go for like a good duration of time.
Definitely.
Well, question number 4. We would like you to answer the question of what is the longest river in the UK? One for those geographers out there. That's what is the longest river in the UK? Do you have a river in Watford, Helen? Is there a...
We do. I think we do. There's definitely a canal. I think there is a river. I want to say it's called the River Colney. I don't know if that's how it's spelled. That's actually really embarrassing. Is there a river in Stirling, Scotland?
Yeah, the River Forth. Yeah, comes all the way through. Big historical battles over the river. It's the gateway to the Highlands. Basically, if you have Stirling, you have Scotland, is the kind of line. So, yes,
wow.
Quite a famous river.
Ah. I've actually just been informed that there's no river in Watford. That I was completely wrong, so I'm sorry to anyone who's put the Watford River as their answer. Okay, we're going to swiftly move on to number 5. Hearts does an octopus have? How many hearts does an octopus have? Have you heard that octopuses well, maybe it doesn't have more than one heart. Do you know anything about this, Rob?
I don't, to be honest. Marine, not really my thing. This would not be my question if I was in a quiz team. People should not be looking at me for an answer here. I do know some marine biologists though, so maybe they would definitely be the person I would like call if I had that option as a lifeline.
I feel like, marine biologists must just know so many facts like that people who don't know anything about that literally have no clue.
Yeah.
I know they have 8 legs.
Okay, next question. Question number 6. That is, how many grandchildren does Queen Elizabeth II have? So our current Queen, how many grandchildren does she have? I have just been asked how Ada, my daughter, is sleeping. Currently this evening, she's sleeping very well. And on the whole, she sleeps very well as well. So we are hoping that continues throughout this evening. You do hear a cry in the background, just that she's woken up and she's hungry. And there is someone in the house to kind of feed her if need be. So there's no need to worry on that one.
That is good to know. You won't have to run off.
Do you think we're ready for the next question, Helen?
Yeah. I'm going to go for it. I actually think this next one's quite hard. Ooh. Question number 7. What is Postman Pat's surname?
Surely it's Pat, yeah? His first name's Postman.
Maybe. What is Postman Pat's surname? Yeah, I just have no clue on this one.
Many years since I've seen Postman Pat. Many years.
I feel like at some point soon you'll probably have to get back into Postman Pat.
I feel like though there's something about he doesn't work for the Royal Mail anymore. He's like branched out into like a private like company, and I don't know how I feel about that.
Is that true?
Yeah, I could be wrong. Someone might want to correct me on that. But word on the street in Stirling is that he no longer works for the Royal Mail.
Wow. There you go. Who knew? Who knew? It's a bit weird doing quizzes when there's no one else there, because we know you're all discussing the answers, but obviously we can't hear you. So we are just sitting in awkward silence, the two of us. But I think we're both pretty comfortable with a bit of an awkward silence. Am I right, Rob?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your snack of choice for this evening?
This evening, it's a bowl of popcorn.
Oh, that's a very good snack.
But
quite crunchy.
I know. I haven't been particularly. I don't know how many will be left by the end, but we always have a discussion in our house about whether it's salt or sweet. What would you go for, Helen?
I would go for sweet and salted.
You go for a mix. Okay. I'll let you off with that one.
What have you gone for?
It's pure salt all the way.
Is it?
But Lisa would be sweet. So if we were sharing popcorn, it would be a mix.
I would definitely choose that. Okay,
let's move on to our next question. Question number 8. What is the largest of the Canary Islands? That's which is the largest of the Canary Islands? Another place I've not been.
I've been to Lanzarote,
Okay.
which I don't know how big it was compared to the other Canary Islands, but maybe that's a clue if you didn't know the names of any others. I've actually started watching, I've been on furlough. Well, I'm back now, obviously. But something I've been watching is A Place in the Sun, because apparently I have turned about 65. I'm sorry if everyone else watches A Place in the Sun. It's a great show and I've really been enjoying it, but that's exactly the kind of place that they will be going.
There you go. I mean, we could have done with some sun today. It's been very wet in Stirling today.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's been wet here as well. But in A Place in the Sun earlier in Spain, it was very sunny. So
there you go.
Brilliant. So on to question 9. What is the name of the dog in The Simpsons? What is the name of the pet dog in The Simpsons? Again, I actually got told the answer to this question earlier, but I could not remember.
Oh, really? No, I would have been okay with this one, I think. I think I probably watched an episode of Simpsons more recently than I have an episode of Postman Pat.
Yeah, that's probably fair enough.
It'd also be great this evening if you want to let us know where you're from in the chat feature. So if you want to say who you are and where you're joining us from this evening, that'll just give us a great idea of how far people are coming, how many different areas are represented, maybe even see how many counties we could tick off the list in our virtual map.
Definitely. Yeah. Just comment in the YouTube comments. We've hi back to Philly Barron. Wonderful, Philly. Great to have you join us. Ooh.
Great. And finally, the last question for this round, question number 10. Is which planet is closest to Earth on average? So one here for the solar and star people. Which planet is closer to Earth on average? I think is our little kind of like, just to keep ourselves safe. Which planet is closest to Earth? You remember doing planets and stars at school, Helen? Big topic.
I do. I remember it coming up. In physics, I guess. I mean, I'm married to a physics teacher, an ex-physics teacher, so I probably should know this, or he definitely knows this. Would you know this? Do you remember much about the planets?
So I remember like the order they go in. So we had some rhyme at primary school or at high school
Yes.
we had to learn. But like in terms of if that would answer this question, I'm not totally sure. Like I'd have to sing it in my head and then think about it and then work it out. But I'm not going to say it just in case it does. I don't want to give too many clues away.
No, but I have been told, as a clue from Becky, who has organised this quiz, that apparently it's all about the orbits.
Oh.
So if that's a clue for you, I have to say I'm not sure that is a clue for many people, Becky.
It
but
wouldn't be for me. I think it would come.
if that helps you, it is all about the orbits and not the chewing gum.
Great.
So with that is the end of section 1 of our quiz. So now you're going to see a recap of all the questions. So we'll just give you a couple of minutes to have a little read of that. If there's any, fill those in. And then in a sec, we will move on. What do you reckon, Rob? How well would you have done on this round?
I would say like a 5 or a 6. This is kind of a mixed round, isn't it? With general knowledge, it can be so broad. So, yeah, I'd put myself middle of the ground just to be safe. How about you, Helen?
Yeah, I'd probably say similar, actually. Well, I say that, but I feel like at every question I said I didn't know the answer to this. So maybe I wouldn't have done that well. I think maybe I backed myself too much with that.
Okay. This is where it really shows what teams you've got together. Like, have you got like a selection of people, with different backgrounds and different knowledge? And this is where you kind of want to know what people's specialist rounds are and work out if they're going to be good enough for your team.
Yeah, you want a good range.
Yep.
Brilliant.
I just wonder how many discussions are now happening on other camera calls in Zoom calls and WhatsApp groups to be like, no, I think it's this. No, I think it's this. What's going on?
No, I know. I think there was one Sunday, where every church basically tried to use Zoom, and church basically broke Zoom, which is quite hilarious. And I'm kind of thinking in my head, I'm hoping that's happening right now, but it's probably not, but potentially. Brilliant. Well, earlier you heard Liz talk about her very first experience of One Life, of walking through those doors and feeling that welcome. I had a very similar experience as a young person. I went along to what we now call the School of Leadership, but at the time it was called something else. And to be honest, I would have never signed myself up to that of my own accord. It just turned out that my youth leader had invited me along. At the time, I was really shy, really quiet. I didn't really think that I had, much influence. I didn't think that my life would have a particularly big impact on the spaces that I inhabited. But what happened was I walked into a group of people who seemed to think that because I knew Jesus, because his presence was in me and that I was his child, that actually any space that I walked into, I could have an impact. That actually because he was with me and in me, that I had influence, and that any space I walked into could be changed. And for me, that changed everything. It empowered me to go back into sixth form, the way I walked the corridors all the way up to uni and sitting in lecture halls and exams and being in halls with people. It changed me in those spaces because I knew that God wanted to use me. And it's even impacted, what I do as a job now. And I find it the greatest privilege that I get to introduce young people to this idea that actually God could use them in any space, that he doesn't have to just use them while they're in church or while they're at their youth group, but actually he wants to use them in their dreams. And for me, that was 10 years ago now. So that's really impacted me over these 10 years. But there's a guy called Harry who we met a few months ago, I guess. And this year, for the first time, he came to a One Life conference. And we're just going to watch an interview now with him that Liz did a few weeks ago, just about his experience and what he found.
Harry, you're 18. You joined us in February for the Distinct conference, and that was your first One Life conference. Tell everyone watching now, why did you come?
Yeah, so I was originally hosting a conference in London to do with my school, and Helen and Liz came and gave a talk there. So the talk that they gave had some really useful skills, such as how to handle conflict and also how to give a proper handshake. The way that they described One Life, equipping young people with leadership skills for a regular world, seemed really appealing to me and also genuinely useful.
Oh, useful. Okay, I'm very glad that we came across useful. This is good news. So you turned up at the conference, and what did you experience?
Yeah, so I came on my own and immediately felt really welcomed by both the team and the delegates. In fact, only a few days later, I went out for dinner with a load of the delegates I'd only just met a few days prior. On the practical side, I got Christian teaching, but it also related to their experiences in a secular business world, as that's what I want to go into when I'm older.
Amazing. And so what did you take away from coming to the conference?
Yeah, so I took away that I can be a Christian in a secular workplace, and I don't actually have to work for a church and give up my everyday job to be a Christian leader.
Wow.
I also took away that it doesn't matter what I do, but more who I become. So having my core values like honesty, integrity, and living a distinct Christian lifestyle will be noticed in whatever sphere I go into and whatever job I do.
Amazing. But how's that now helped you through COVID-19?
Yeah, so it's my A-level year, and initially I felt concerned as my A-level exams had been cancelled and I didn't know what grades I was going to get, but I'm actually not worried because I know that for my future, it's more about who I become than where I end up.
Wow. Harry, thank you so much for sharing your story with us tonight.
Brilliant. It's just so good to hear that. And I actually remember meeting Harry for the first time at a Church of England education conference, and he was hosting at it, and we invited him. Me and Liz said, come to this conference. And to be honest, I imagined that he would get his youth leader to come and bring him or bring a few friends with him, but Harry travelled by himself all the way from Bristol to Chorleywood to sleep on a church floor so that he could experience that, so that he could be in that space and be inspired. And it's these stories to listen to as we walk through the season and beyond. We want to support people like Harry. We exist so that people like him can be given the tools so he can go forward into his dreams, into his future career, and bring something of the presence of Jesus with him into that space. As the evening goes on, you have the opportunity to support people like Harry. You can give at any time during any of the interviews or during any of the rounds by following the link below. And Rob, you've been involved with One Life for a long time, and we actually met doing another fundraiser for One Life, probably a slightly more difficult fundraiser, you might say.
Yeah, climbing the UK's 3 highest peaks in 24 hours was quite an interesting challenge. And I suppose the reason that I did that, and the reason that we kind of love working with One Life as a church, is just because of the events and the resources and that you create. The resources that are out there just work so well with our young people. But more interestingly, the conferences that we've been over to the last few years, that moment when the young people are handed that baton of leadership for the first time is just so special. It's that space that they realise that they're enough and that God is giving them everything and that they need to influence and lead in their current spaces. And that's just so great from my perspective. However, there's always a fun side to One Life, to a One Life challenge, to a conference, and even to tonight, the fact that we're doing a quiz and trying to bring about a sense of fun together. And hopefully that's what you'll experience as we go through this evening. But I want to tell you a little bit of a story, just to set maybe the bar in terms of where the line should be tonight in terms of the battle that's going on in this quiz. So a few years ago, I remember taking a group of young people through to a conference in Glasgow, and the conversation the whole way there that evening all centred around McDonald's new chicken spicy wrap. So no youth trip would be kind of right without a trip to McDonald's at some point. And the whole of the weekend, the young people were talking to me and talking to each other about this wrap. One of our young people had tried this new wrap, hadn't been able to finish eating it. It was so hot. And I think they were quite annoyed at themselves, maybe quite disappointed in themselves for not being able to finish that particular wrap. So the whole weekend, this conversation kept happening. So on our way home, we had to, of course, find a McDonald's to try this challenge out and see how the rest of our young people got on. So we set off home and we put into the sat nav about the nearest McDonald's, and as we pulled up, and we realised that unfortunately that one was closed for refurbishment. So we were like, oh no, what are we going to do? Let's try and find the next one. Let's keep heading home in that direction. But as soon as we see McDonald's, we're going to stop. We're going to find it. Got to the second one. What happened? We missed the junction on the motorway. All of a sudden, we'd gone past that McDonald's. Wasn't going to happen this time around. We wondered even if this challenge was ever going to be able to settle. When finally we saw those golden arches coming up ahead, we finally made it to that third McDonald's. And it was there in that McDonald's, somewhere between Glasgow and Stirling, the battle was settled. It was official by the end of that meal that the new McDonald's spicy wrap was hot, but not for one particular girl. It wasn't hot enough, and she was determined to win. I could see it in her face as she sat opposite me. The heat, the pain, but also the determination that she was not going to be beaten. And I wonder this evening are you this determined to win our quiz, for that voucher to be crowned king or queen tonight? So after a tense battle in the first round, it's time to move on to round 2, which is famous faces.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, question number 1, what's going to happen is a face is going to appear on the screen that we've blurred out. And all we need you to do is give us the full name of that famous kind of person or that famous leader. Yeah. So here is your first one.
Okay. My question is, Rob, did you try the spicy wrap?
So I didn't that particular evening, but I had done previously. So I remember when we moved house, we were in a van and we went through the drive-through and the wrap had just been released. So Lisa and I bought it thinking, oh, we're really hungry. And actually it was such a disappointment because it was so hot. Lunch just wasn't enjoyable. And I quite like to enjoy my McDonald's. So I have, but like, I don't even think they make it anymore. I think it's that hot. I think they've replaced it with something else.
It was too much. If you have tried the spicy wrap and you managed to finish it, we would love to know in the comments below. Let us know how you rated the spicy wrap. Have to add, this quiz is actually not sponsored by McDonald's. If we could get some freebies.
Okay, do you think we've given them enough with question number 1?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, number 2, person number 2. Oh, looking a little bit, got a suit on.
Very familiar face.
A little bit different to the first one.
Yeah. Slightly older.
Mm-hmm.
He just looks like such a nice man, I always think. Yeah. My evaluation.
That's what you feel from the photos, Alex.
That's what I feel from this photo. Oh. I guess usually you'd be doing a quiz maybe in a pub and then maybe be some, music in the background, some live music. What would be your playlist of choice, Rob?
No, it's a tricky question. I'm quite into like dramatic, cheesy musical music. So like the other night we watched Mamma Mia 2 because it's now available on Netflix. And literally for the last few days, I've had ABBA songs in my head. So something that's quite like power ballady, like motivational, like let's do this, probably for me. How about you, Han?
I love that. Yeah, like good motivational songs. I love, good 80s music, I guess. I'm a big Taylor Swift fan. I'm sure many people know. So anything by Taylor Swift, I would be happy to listen to in the background, but I would probably get a little bit distracted.
That is the thing, distraction, balance, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true. I feel like Liz is like the queen of playlists. So maybe we need to ask, what she would do.
When she next.
Liz, what would you choose?
Liz, what do you think?
I think she
okay, you put me on the spot there completely. What would I choose? My playlist. Good bit of cheese, bit of dance, maybe a little bit of like 90s kind of, anything to get me dancing, then I'm happy.
I love it.
I love it. I love it. Okay, let's move on to our next famous person. So number 3, who is this? Again, we're looking for full names on your answer sheets that hopefully you've got from the link below. If you've joined us late, if you've somehow been drawn into this somehow at the last minute, welcome to the One Life Big Night In. We are round 2 into our quiz, and your link is below if you need to answer those questions. Yeah, but number 3, who do we think this is? Looks quite confident, don't you think, Helen? Quite confident.
Yeah, very confident. Yeah, I have to say I don't actually know who that is. I have to say that apparently in the YouTube comments, people are saying, Rob, that you cried at Mamma Mia. Is it true?
I mean, I am a crier. Like, I do cry generally at quite a lot of things. So I don't know if I can actually remember crying at the film, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, there's potential there. It could be true.
Somewhere this evening, so she would probably know better than I do. So if it's her that's commented, then we've got to take her word for it.
Okay, noted. To be fair, I have no legs to stand on. I'm an absolute crier at everything. I have a feeling I cried at Mamma Mia too, actually.
It's just such a good ending.
I don't remember the ending at all.
Right, Helen, homework for this week. Go and watch Mamma Mia 2 on Netflix.
Yeah, that's my job for tomorrow. Mamma Mia 2 on Netflix. A wild Saturday in the Davies house.
Okay, question number 4. Let's see who we've got. Okay. I feel like this one should be a fairly straightforward one, all being well.
I'd say so.
Especially if we're thinking of leaders. I'm a young leader in particular.
Young leaders.
Sorry, too many clues.
No. Yeah. She's written. Well, okay, I'm going to stop giving clues. It's very hard in this round not to just talk about the person on your screen.
It is. It is.
It is. Rob, if you had to go on a TV quiz show, which would you go on?
So I feel like there is so much kudos with Pointless.
Yeah.
There's something like the prize money isn't great usually, but there's something about Pointless that's just like, if you can get onto Pointless and get through all the rounds, that'd be quite, among friends, that'd be quite like, oh yeah, I've been on Pointless. I remember watching an awful lot of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire when I was younger with my dad. He was obsessed, like to the point where he would then phone to try and get on, and you have to answer the question.
Wow.
It never happened, but I have seen a lot of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Yeah, so probably, but then the classics. Like, have you seen the new one on a Saturday night where it's like bringing all the old ones back with what's he called? Oh man, but yeah, it's bringing like The Price Is Right. With a fortune, all of those back.
I've not seen that.
Okay. There you go. More homework for you to watch, Helen.
There you go. Yeah. Filling up my schedule.
Should we move on to our next person?
Yeah, I think so. Oh wow. A whole different vibe with this picture. Not a photo, I think.
You think it's I think it's a painting too.
That might give some, slight indication, perhaps.
Yeah. Maybe someone who has maybe an interest in history might prefer this one.
I wonder how accurate it is to how that person really looked.
Yeah. You could definitely say, I'm not having that painting released of me. A little bit like Instagram filters. A little bit slower probably, but yeah.
Yeah.
We're being told off here for giving spoilers, Helen, so we better watch that.
Sorry, Becky.
Okay, just a couple more seconds on this, and then we'll move on to our next person.
Brilliant.
So someone has just asked whether my hair would look like this if it doesn't get cut on the 15th of July. So just to let you know, it goes like Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons. So these bits come out here, and then this bit goes up here. So this is about as far as it's going to go. It doesn't go down. What we've also noticed is that my daughter is starting to get curly hair, it's all coming in at the back. So we think she's got dad genes with her curly hair. So I do apologise to her for that.
No, it's a good thing.
Okay, let's do our next person. Question number 6. Who is this?
Another interesting hairstyle.
Yeah. Yeah, with the colours rather than the curls this time.
Yeah. Yeah, something a bit different.
Also quite a posed photo. Clearly like this is one of those ones that they clearly had a lot taken of and showed, a bit like the painting probably.
Yeah. And we have to clarify that spelling does matter in this quiz. If you can spell as close as you can, but there are some exemptions, I think.
Yeah, we won't be too harsh.
No.
Maybe the next person, do you think, Helen? Do you think we've got enough time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Question
think
number
so.
7. Let's see who's in number 7. Oh, hello. I'm slightly shocked that people are struggling with Simpsons knowledge. I thought that would be would be okay on the Simpsons. There you go. Homework for everyone this weekend. Go and
Watch The Simpsons.
Yeah.
I have to say, I didn't know, but as soon as I was told, it rung a bell, and I kicked myself a little bit, actually.
You just needed that little reminder to take you back to that
Yeah,
of,
exactly.
of kind of
Yeah.
early teens Helen. Would that be a fair enough?
Yeah, I remember it being on Sky One and watching that.
Yes.
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a long time ago. Yeah, I remember the Simpsons movie coming out as well.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think, yeah. We studied it in English Lit.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
not sure why, but we did.
Teachers' tactics to try and get you to stay engaged, probably.
Yeah, well, I think it worked. I got to watch it in class, and that was pretty great.
I know. When that TV used to get rolled out back in the old day, like on the trolley, rather than all the smart boards that we have now. We are really showing our age here, Helen.
I know.
Okay, next question. Question number 8. Who is this?
Who is this?
Again, quite a dramatic photo.
It is, yeah. Definitely a celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
I guess all of them are, otherwise they probably wouldn't make it onto the quiz.
Question 9. Do you think we're giving people enough time on that one?
Yeah. Let's
Let's go for
it.
number 9. Who's next? Oh, black and white. Interesting.
Yeah, passionate. Have you ever been for like a professional photo shoot, Rob?
Other than engagement photos and wedding photos and like school photos that you get like every year that your parents then keep forever. No. So I mean, yeah, the answer to the question is yes, but not like I've not been just for me on my own for some kind of like professional shoot. There's always been a reason behind it.
Yeah.
But saying that, we are next weekend, because obviously with lockdown, we've not been able to do like the newborn shoot. So we have found a photographer who's going to do a socially distanced outdoor photo shoot with us next weekend. So that'll be fun.
Wow. Aww.
So yeah, the lens will be long because she's going to have to stand like 2 meters away. So that'll be cute.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be very cute.
Helen, any photos, paintings, anything like that?
I haven't any paintings done. Do you know what? I have, well, obviously wedding photos, engagement photos, but you've probably never been stopped by these people in the street. Maybe some other women have had this, where people stop you and they're like, oh, for like £30, you get like a free haircut and a makeover and a free photo shoot, and it's just going to be this really glam day. And me and my friend at uni were like, yeah, sure, this sounds great. We thought it would be a really glam day. It was not. I got a terrible haircut that was not worth £30, and then like some horrible makeover, and then had to sit and have my photo taken. And then the worst bit was them being sent the photos after and them just not being good. I can't believe I just admitted that to whoever's watching on this.
I don't think that in Scotland. I've never heard of that.
Really? I think I was
Yeah.
actually stopped.
Like if it
in
does,
Glasgow as
like
well.
comment, like if you live in Scotland or generally if you've ever had that happen to you or something similar, put it in the comments and then we'll try and work out whether that's just
Someone must have experienced that. I don't think it was just me. I think it was a con. And you know, if you think that what One Life's doing with young people is better than what those people did with my hair, and unfortunately this isn't my haircut now, so just warn everyone. If you think it's better than that, then maybe why not donate? That was £30. No, I'd say what One Life's doing is worth more. Should we go to the next question, Rob? And
Let's
get
do
off
it.
this
Final
topic?
one for this round.
Do you know who this is, Rob?
I don't know if I do. Like, yeah, I think this is one of the trickiest ones of the round.
Yeah.
Again, wearing a suit, like, but apart from that, I'm struggling here, to be honest.
No. In my head, it looks like a photo that it's like the dog show called. I'm sure that's not
Crofts.
happening. Yeah. That's how I imagine it.
Like a cross judge walking around with his clipboard.
Yeah.
Like, ale, nice ears. Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure that's not what's happening in this photo, but that's what it makes me think of.
I love it. That famous Crofts judge that we all know, you know. Just write their name down. I'm sure, Helen, I'll give you a point.
Brilliant.
Okay, I think we're there. I think. Yeah.
Oh, there they all are. All
Quick
together.
recap, even smaller, just to make it more difficult for you.
I think after this round, we're taking a break, aren't we, Rob?
We are, yes. So I would, we would just, yeah, we can take 2 minutes just now. This is time to grab some more snacks. I'm going to eat some popcorn, also check that baby's still sleeping, maybe get some drinks, pop to the toilet. It's always a good one. We will be back again with you in 2 minutes time. But this is your 2 minute break, even if it's just to kind of stretch and get some more juices flowing in the brain. But we will see you in 2 minutes time.
welcome back from your 2-minute break. We are officially halfway through the quiz. So maybe have a little look over your answers and make sure you've got everything you want in there. There's still time to donate, so please do be doing that by clicking the link below. Before we head on to the next round, we're just going to hear a little bit from Liz about what life in COVID-19 has looked like for One Life.
Thank you, Helen. Yeah, you were here with me. We were in the trenches together, figuring out what One Life was going to look like through COVID-19 and what our story was going to be. And everyone's got a different COVID-19 story. I mean, Rob had a baby, for crying out loud. Other people will have different contexts that they're speaking out of, depending on their age or what's happening with work or even health. And for us, I don't know about you, but I really remember when we gathered together for the last time, just as the headlines were kicking off and we were being asked to lock down, and we kind of looked at each other and just went, right, when are we next going to be in a room together? And how are we going to run after this organization, which is about basically gathering people together, building on relationships, training people and connecting people? What is this going to look like over the next few, however long it was going to be? We didn't know. And then we had a decision to make. We had to decide what was God asking of One Life during COVID-19. And very quickly, we realized we had to get alongside as best we could the youth pastors that were having to ask those questions of how do I raise up young people to continue in their relationship with Jesus, to continue to feel connected and to lead in this season. We wanted to do all we could to connect with those people in the same way. So we had an idea and we decided to put it out there on social media to invite people to an online gathering, to invite youth pastors to say, look, do you want to come together to share, to learn and to journey this through together? And honestly, we didn't really think anyone would turn up. And on our first online gathering, we had 28 youth pastors coming together to share, to learn and connect. And what was incredible was we began on that day a journey that each month we've carried on about building a rule of life for youth pastors first, but also how can they do that for young people. So there's this sense of intentionality. There's this sense of we want to lead, to thrive, not just survive through this time. And how do I do that for myself and my own leadership, but also for the young people that I'm leading? We also knew we just wanted to put stuff into youth pastors' hands so that with everything they were trying to readjust and figure out, they could just begin to use resources that were helpful. So we started to write. We wrote resources from leading in the family. Young people, their context for those weeks was just their family, their four walls. And that can be the hardest place to live out your discipleship, the hardest place to bring influence. But we wanted to help youth pastors steer their young people to do that. So we set up a resource about leading in the family. We also just looked at some of the issues that this season brought, like how do you connect over Zoom? How do you keep having vulnerability and fun and even playing games, which is so important for building relationships over Zoom? So we just wrote resources and threw them out there for whoever needed them. And it's been an incredible journey. We've coached youth pastors, we've tracked with them, and we've learned from what they are seeing. And what's been amazing and challenging at the same time was we had to do that journey whilst also recognizing we had a responsibility to keep One Life strong financially during this season and out the other side. We couldn't just give our all now and then suddenly find our finances getting to a place which mean we couldn't exist after COVID-19. So we took up the government's offer of furlough and had during this time this tension of how do we remain present and support youth pastors as best we can whilst half the team are on furlough, whilst I'm homeschooling the kids, and we're all just trying to figure out how to do this like the rest of the world. And it's been a stretch. It's not been easy. But there's also been some incredible gold that we've discovered. There's been learnings for us that we wouldn't have had we not gone through this journey. And it's been profound. It's been profound to journey as a team, to learn with and learn from youth pastors and other church leaders as well, and to listen to their reflections on what they're seeing with young people in this time. And what's been amazing has been to ask, again, not just how do I just get through this? Not just how do I survive, but how do I thrive? How do we as an organization lead in this time? How do we bring about and help others to bring about the kingdom of God in the spaces that we find ourselves in, even in COVID-19? It's that incredible question that the wonderful Harry said of himself when he came to the conference, when he said, this is about who am I becoming? For us, COVID-19 raised the question constantly for One Life, for the youth pastors as well. Who are we becoming through this time?
And I just love that question. I'm one of those youth pastors who've been using these resources. And thinking back to pre-lockdown, we had been looking to create a space within our church youth ministry in which to bring young people together to chat and look at what leading and influence looked like for them. But through time, through different priorities, we struggled to find that time. But during lockdown, we saw God give us the perfect opportunity. We had young people asking for help and prayer as they were stuck with their family, struggling to know how to follow Jesus in that space, probably because it was totally new for them too, as it has been for everybody. Using those resources that Liz has mentioned about leading in the family, we've been able to begin that journey with our young people using the power of Zoom. From simple things such as taking some time out to develop patience or not getting too frustrated with younger siblings who are pushing those buttons, all the way through to beginning to understand how to show compassion and understanding for the people around them in this situation. But also at the beginning of lockdown, I found myself, along with having a whole new family makeup, in a totally new space with a clean slate in terms of ministry spaces for the first time ever. And this could have been a scary place for me to be, alone, not knowing what to do or what God maybe wanted for us. However, through One Life's monthly online gatherings and free coaching, I felt I've been part of something much bigger, a family that is brought about a sense of togetherness, something that I believe only could have been brought around because of what God did in that moment.
Thank you so much, Rob. That's just so encouraging to hear. It's just amazing to hear how youth pastors actually use these resources, because obviously we put them out there and we don't always get to see that. So thank you. And we're going to keep going. We're going to go on to round 3 now. So round 3 is basically, are you smarter than Rob's youth? So are you smarter than a 10-year-old? A slightly scary question, I might add. So question 1. This is all around ratios.
Ooh.
Get the question up. I'll start reading it.
Yeah.
In a cookie recipe, the ratio of flour to sugar needed is 3 to 4. If you need 80 grams of flour, how much sugar will you need? I'm going to repeat that. In a cookie recipe, the ratio needed of sugar to flour is 3 to 4. If you need 80 grams of flour, how much sugar will you need? And we want to make it clear that these questions have come from BBC Bite Size, from kind of I think it's Key Stage 2. So you were taught this in primary school, if you can't quite recall it. How's your maths, Rob?
Okay on this one, especially when it's about baking. There's been a lot of baking during lockdown, a lot of eating of cake in my particular instance. So I would feel like I could get this one, hopefully, fingers crossed.
That's good. I feel like a lot of people have been baking.
Yeah. Okay, question number 2. Magnets are usually made out of which metal? That's magnets are usually made out of which metal? I'm thinking like periodic table, like science lab, like that's where my head is right now when I'm thinking of metal and or even just like, you know, when you stick them together and they repel and
I know, it's crazy that you learned all this. All of these are year 6 level, so year 6 or P7 if you're in Scotland. Good Scottish knowledge there. I'm proud of myself. Translating. You learned all of this in year 6. This is actually a quiz show, isn't it? Are you smarter than 10-year-old as well?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I've watched it, but I feel like, wow. Yeah, it would either make you feel pretty smart or really not.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those.
Right, let's move on to question 3. What is the largest city in the world looking at population size? So what is the largest city in the world on population size?
So we worked out that Watford wasn't a city. Is that true?
No. I don't think it is. I thought Watford had a river, so I actually just don't know. I'm questioning everything. Stirling is a city, though.
Stirling is a city, just 2002.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Queen's Golden Jubilee present thing.
Wow.
Yeah, so just a city. But again, I don't think the biggest.
No, I've been to Stirling and it's really not very big.
Okay, question number 4. If you were in France, what would you buy from a boulangerie? Now, am I saying that right, Helen?
Yeah, close enough. Boulangerie.
There you go. Nice French accent there for you. So in France, what might you buy from a
boulangerie?
There you go.
I'm probably not even saying that very well.
Any French teachers or French speakers on the chat, let us know. Give us a score of 10, maybe, for how we did on that. I think Helen's probably going to get higher points than I did, and that's okay. Like I'm okay. I can deal with that.
Yeah. Well, now people can go to France as well.
Yes.
New rules.
Well, you can't. We don't yet know in Scotland. We're a week behind you.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So our bridges, or whatever, air bridges, whatever we're calling them, aren't sorted yet.
Were you planning on going away?
Say that again. Sorry.
Were you planning on going away?
We were staycationing this year anyway, but it was like this week coming. So we were meant to be going tomorrow, and our holiday cottages aren't fully open yet, so we're not going. So we're having to look at something later down the line. I think though, Helen, with our river chat in Watford, we have created a bit of a battle even amongst the team.
I think we have.
A river. So I would like someone who's official with some kind of geography degree, title, works in that environment to officially let us know whether there is a river in Watford.
I would appreciate that. I feel like Chris Smith is kind of the Watford guide.
Okay.
Is how I would describe him. I feel like he would know. Chris Smith, we need you to let us know. Is there a river in Watford once and for all?
Okay, next question.
Right, let's move on. What was the Mayan civilization most famous for building? A, pyramids, B, temples, C, amphitheatres, or D, cathedrals? What was the Mayan civilization most famous for? A, pyramids, B, temples, C, amphitheatres, or D, cathedrals?
We're being nice on this question. We're even giving them options.
I know. I think it's our only multiple choice question. We're just things are coming in now about confirming the river. Chris Smith does think there is a river in Watford. Becky, who does have a degree in geography from Nottingham University, she's very prestigious. And is going to be a geography teacher. She says she can confirm that Watford has a canal and the river Colne. I don't know if it's Colne or Colney. I don't know. Which is a tributary of the Thames.
Okay, next question. Question number 6 is which sports ball is heavier? That wasn't our only multiple choice question. I think we have a few in this round, Helen. It's basketball, a shot put, or a baseball. So which sports ball is heaviest? A basketball, a shot put, or a baseball?
Did you ever do shot put at school?
Yeah, I think we did. I think at some point during the year we did get out the shot put and the javelins, quite scarily, but I think we did, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like we just got them out for like sports day and that was it. It was like one day of the year and you got to play with these.
And I think we maybe did like a PE lesson just before sports day to make sure that we used it fairly in the correct way.
Yeah, you went about to impale someone with your javelin.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, that sounds pretty wise. Okay, we're going to move on. Question 7. In what substance do mosquitoes lay their eggs? In what substance do mosquitoes lay their eggs?
Once got bitten by a mosquito. Funny story. When I was in India.
Oh,
Like majorly,
like
massive,
severe.
massive bruise here. Like, yeah, like not a pretty sight. There you go. Random facts from Rob.
Ooh. Oh, that's not good. I feel like I must have been bitten, but I can't think of any that have been particularly awful. But I think that's probably more my poor memory. If anyone has had a bite recently, you might not want to admit to it in the comments, but you can let us know. They'll probably speak to a medical professional if it is urgent.
Yep. Okay, question number 8. In the Herman Melville novel, what type of creature was Moby Dick? So in the Herman Melville novel, what type of creature was Moby Dick?
Have you read Moby Dick, Rob?
I don't think I have. Like, I am aware of the book. I think I would be okay with this question if I was competing, but I haven't actually read the book. I think maybe that's some homework for me to do.
Yeah, I haven't read it either. But it's a classic, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Okay. We're going to move on to question 9. What is the shape with 9 sides called? So what is a shape with 9 sides called?
So Helen, you've got a maths degree.
I do.
So I'm hoping that this would have, like, if we'd have been in a quiz team together tonight, I would have been looking at you for the answer to this question. Would you be confident with your shapes?
You know, I would, but I would say it's probably not thanks to my maths degree that I know that question. It's the classic when people ask you to split the bill because you've got a maths degree. That's just not what studying.
This question, the 10-year-old would probably be smarter. I don't know if I know the answer to this question.
Oh. And it's just come in that so far we have raised £370, which is absolutely incredible. So a huge thank you to anyone that has given so far. And just a reminder that if you haven't yet, or you want to give more, you are allowed to give more than once in this quiz if you so wish. And the link is below to find out all the different ways you can give on our giving page.
Okay, let's go for our last question of this round, question number 10. Again, multiple choice.
I was wrong.
Giving them the hints this time round. So which of these words describes the speed that music is played at? Is it A, an ostinato, B, a beat, C, a rhythm, or D, tempo? So which of these words describe the speed at which music is played? Is it A, an ostinato, B, a beat, C, rhythm, or D, tempo? Musical, Helen? Particularly musical?
Yes, I did music A level.
Again, if you were in my quiz team, I'd be like, Helen, what's the answer?
I might know this one. Are you musical, Rob?
Not in any great shape or form. Like, anyone that stands next to me when I'm singing will tell you I'm definitely not. I don't have any kind of rhythm but I do enjoy singing. So actually having a child, all the excuses just to sing random things at them or to speak to them in song, because, you know, apparently it's good for their development. So yes.
Yeah. I feel like, you know, music's about enjoying it rather than about being good.
Yes. Yeah. I'll take that.
Yeah. So with that, we are finishing round 3. So again, you're going to see a slide which has a recap of all of the questions that we have asked, I believe. There is no recap for this round, I've just been told. So there we go. We're moving on from round 3. I'm sorry if you wanted another answer. But there we go. That's just what's happened. So you might be wondering, what is your money going towards? If you donate tonight and you're thinking about donating, you might be thinking, oh, this sounds great, but what does that actually look like? Well, something we do is conferences, which you've heard about, obviously, where Rob finds his new chicken wraps, and where you heard Harry having that light bulb moment of realizing that actually he could use his influence in any sphere, that because he was a Christian, he doesn't have to just go into church, but actually he can be a godly, characterful leader in any sphere. And these are opportunities where young people can hear from loads of different people and just be inspired about what God might be wanting to do through them. We also have a resource called the One Life Sessions, which we put into the hands of youth and student pastors. Again, Rob has used this with his students, I believe. And it's just this opportunity, really practical tools. It delves into character development. It looks at things like conflict and communication. How do I communicate well with my peers? What does it look like to be in a flat share and be able to go through those conflicts? It looks at loads of different things. And then also we run a week every summer called our School of Leadership. And this is really a deep dive into discipleship, into character development, into, again, really practical tools they can pick up and use from day one. And in just a little bit, we're going to hear a few stories from some incredible women who have been through that week and have just these beautiful stories of what God showed them over that week and what they're doing with that now.
But before we watch that video, before we go and hear from them, it's the time where we're going to see who the best of the best really is. The moment that the men are separated from the boys. It's the final round of our big night in.
It is. But I think we've got the recap now. So maybe if we leave that up just for a moment.
Yes, let's do that. Let's go back to round 3 and do that recap.
So now is your chance if you missed a question. If you thought it was unbelievably harsh that we were just going to leave you there hanging. I can't believe we're on the final round. Okay. I think let's go for round 4.
Let's do it. So this one's a little bit different, isn't it, Helen?
It is. Emoji dingrats. If you have been engaging in a billion lockdown quizzes, you will probably already know what this is. If you haven't, you probably won't. So we've got an example one. She might have that. So it's going to be a few emojis put together, and what they're going to kind of spell out or kind of come together to form is a well-known food or drink brand. So Rob, tell me what you see.
So I see 3 people walking. So I might say if I saw them in the street that there was a group of walkers, maybe.
Walkers. Love it. So that would be
for that one would be that famous crisp brand, Walkers.
Brilliant.
I know some people were this was the one that we used on Instagram yesterday, wasn't it? As the we test one. So yes, I think some people hopefully will have all been kind of practicing some of these as well if they've had the opportunity to do that.
Yeah. Brilliant. So question 1. I have to say I'm actually really awful at these. I don't think my brain quite works that way.
Yeah, it's definitely certain people get them really quickly and some people really struggle to see what it is. It's like those pictures where there's 2 pictures in the picture, and if you look at it one way and the other way, I think it's a bit like those with these. I think it's maybe the left and the right brain thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to say too much on these because I feel like if we're not careful,
I think we'll give them away. Okay. Let's move on to number 2.
Ooh.
Great.
Okay.
It's all the emojis that you didn't realise were actually emojis.
Yes. Yeah, the ones that are never in your favourite box at the beginning of when you type.
Exactly. What would your most used emoji be, Rob?
It's probably the face with the all the teeth showing, like the really big smile. But I know this is one. This particular kind of idea of emojis is one of the bits in the Leading in the Family session about how would you describe your family as an emoji. So we did that with our young people, and it was so interesting to hear some of the responses.
Wow.
We had ones around like clapping each other. We even had a brother and a sister in the group who hadn't conferred on this, and they came up with the same emoji to describe their family. And it was the smiley face with all the hearts on it, because they both saw the family as being a loving place, which was actually really quite nice. So yeah, if you work with young people out there and you want them to describe things, get them to do it in emojis. Maybe describe how you're feeling about the quiz this evening.
Yeah.
Give an emoji in the comment box.
Yeah, I think an emoji of what your team dynamic is at this moment.
Yeah.
Are you all in
Last
harmony?
round,
Are things getting fractured at this point? We'd love to know. Okay, I think let's move on.
Yes, number 3. Sorry, number 3.
Great. Would you be like an emoji user in your texts?
Yes, but like I find myself often like working out whether other people are before I launch into full emoji chat. Kind of get the sense of the conversation first and be like, oh, is this person an emoji user or not? Do you use Helen's a lot emoji?
I'm a big emoji user, but again, probably with I guess when you're trying to seem professional, you try not to use too many emojis.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we go on to question 4?
Yeah, I think so. We're going to recap these at the end. We have checked. We do have a recap slide. So if there's some of these that you want to go back on, we will be coming back to them at the end as well.
Brilliant.
Question 4. Or even if you're struggling, just write down what you see. Like just make notes somewhere.
Yeah, I feel like actually if you write it down, it makes it easier, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like that.
Okay, I reckon we're ready for number 5.
Yeah.
Oh, this is I see this emoji quite a lot. A lot of my friends use this.
Yeah.
This emoji.
The dancing lady.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I would definitely use that emoji.
Would it describe your feelings towards the quiz right now, Helen? Towards
the quiz. Do you know what? I think if I was in a team and it was going well, I think that would be a good emoji. Yeah, or like maybe tomorrow when everyone can go out for dinner. That might be the emoji of getting dressed up, feeling good, going out for dinner. I've definitely missed that during lockdown. What do you think has been the biggest thing you've missed during this time?
Like honestly?
Yeah.
Hugs.
Hugs. Oh.
Like I am a hugger. So like even like when people come to the door and like it's just really awkward like to finish a conversation now because you're like, oh, okay, bye. Hugs has definitely been my thing.
There you go.
How about you, Helen?
Seeing people, getting to see people. That's definitely been hard. I guess, going out for coffee as well. Slightly less important, but I'm missing a coffee shop. Yeah. That's very hard.
Yeah, I do remember when the coffee shops first started opening up here for takeaway. We would our daily walk that day would be to the coffee shop to get coffee to then have it. Well, that was like the little treat for the day.
100%.
Yes, I do appreciate. I don't drink coffee though, so for me it would be like a hot chocolate or tea. But I don't drink coffee.
That's fair.
I know.
Right, I think let's move on to number 6.
Yes, number 6. It's a good one. I like this one. Yeah.
I think just once you know what they are, they're so easy. But when you're just sat there staring at them, I don't know, something doesn't compute in my brain quite. Brilliant.
Question number 7. See what we've got next.
Oh, coronavirus. That's what that little emoji says to me.
I mean, a fever is one of the symptoms, so
Exactly. What do you think? Have you guys picked up any funny habits now that you've just spent time with the 3 of you?
The 3 of us, yeah. Habit. I don't really know. Like, it's become about like the really little things. Actually, the other day we started trying to learn Gaelic.
Oh wow!
We got Duolingo like on the app, and we started trying to learn a whole new language. We'll see how long it lasts, but yeah, I suppose that would be a habit. I mean, it happens. We try to do it over breakfast, so yeah, we'll see. I mean, don't ask me to say anything right now. It's just not going to happen.
Can you say hello?
Oh no, I can't. I'm not even going.
For all our Scottish speakers.
Tell you, if we see Give and Go up in the next maybe like 15 minutes, then I'll maybe give it a shot.
Okay, noted. Right, I think let's go on to number 8.
Yes. I do like this fanfare emoji. This would be one I'd use quite regularly.
Yeah, that would be definitely one of my most used.
In the favourite box.
I feel like we probably use quite similar emojis, Rob, just like very excited ones.
Basically, yes. A lot of the hand one like this as well. A lot of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, question number 9. Oh, a flag.
Yeah. Do you know what the flag is?
I don't know if I do. Obviously, a country that's in the colony or has been in the colony because of the United Kingdom Jack in the corner.
Narrowing down there.
Yeah, narrowing it down slightly. Number 10. I've been told off for saying too much about the flag, so I'm going to stop. Question number 10.
Okay. Oh. I wonder.
Again, not emojis I would use very often, if at all, these two.
That's pretty hard. I guess it's remembering those food brands as well. If anyone's forgotten that, because I think that does help you.
Yeah, all food and drink related. Narrows it down slightly.
Just shopping trolleys, queuing for supermarkets. That's something I will not miss from this season. What's the longest anyone has queued for a supermarket? That is something I would love to know. Rob, what's your record?
Not very long, to be honest, because Stirling, as you said earlier, it's quite small for a city. So I would get to a supermarket and see how long the queue was, and if it was too long, I'd just go to a different supermarket, try and have a shorter queue. So I haven't been particularly patient with the queues, to be honest. How's Watford been on the queuing for supermarkets?
Oh, do you know what? It's a real mix by the supermarkets. I did at the very start of lockdown. I think I queued for about, I think it was 2 hours to get into a Tesco's. Yeah, which was not a good experience. And it was very cold, which I keep forgetting actually. When we came into lockdown, it was really cold. Queuing outside and it was on those lines that like goes one way and then you think you're getting towards the end and then it turns and doubles back on itself another 3 times and you realise you were actually nowhere near the start. So that was a pretty awful experience. I just haven't been back to the Tesco's. I just gave up.
There you go.
Patient.
It's like in your memory forever now. That is what Tesco's will ever be for known for, the 2 hour queue.
Well, I think let's get our recap up.
Yes.
So final time to have a look at these and see if you can get any final ones that you didn't quite manage. I'm very intrigued to see how people do on this round.
This is where you hope you've got someone in your team who knows emojis in this particular way.
Yeah, exactly. A bit more of a visual learner, perhaps.
Yes.
So this is the end of round 4. So what we need is for you to finalise your answers on your sheet and press submit. So we need you to hit submit now or kind of in the next 30 seconds. Because if you don't, then we won't have your answers and we won't be able to tally them up. And we have to add as well that if we have a joint first place, whoever has got their answers in first will be winning. So there is incentive to get your answers in now.
Need like a jolly little tune here, just build
something. And we can actually confirm now that our giving is up to £625, which is absolutely incredible. So thank you so much to everyone that has given so far. We're going to have people working through now to work out who's won. But before we hear the winners, we're going to hear from two absolutely incredible women who have come on our leadership in the past few years. And they're both now out working in the spheres. One of them is working in dentistry and the other is working in business. And this is just part of an interview that Liz did with them a couple of weeks ago, just hearing a little bit about what the School of Leadership has done for them.
Yes, tonight we have the wonderful Audrey and Jemana with us to share their story of what it was to be on the School of Leadership, which is our week-long residential for 17 to 25s-ish. We get together in this incredible farm called the Poplars in Gloucestershire, and we do this deep dive into leadership development, spiritual formation, character growth, and it's an incredible week, an incredible journey. And I remember meeting these two ladies as they rolled up the driveway, pulling their suitcases, ready to embark on this week. What was in front of them, they didn't know, but it's amazing to hear some of the stories of what God did during that time and how that's impacting them as they go out now and lead in the spheres. So we're going to kick off with Jemana. Jemana, you work in healthcare as a dentist, and you came on the School of Leadership. How old were you again?
I was just 21 at the time.
Just 21. You came on the School of Leadership the year before your final year of training to go and be a fully qualified dentist that you are now. How did the School of Leadership equip you to go into that sphere?
Yeah, great question. So when I started university, I quickly realized that dentists are terrifying. And being surrounded in that environment by so many people, all of my superiors having so many letters after their names and seemingly never being wrong, I think it quickly led me to, it shaped my idea of what a leader looked like, and that looked like someone who never made a mistake. And one big thing that School of Leadership really helped me realize was how much that is a lie. Being around people who led in such an authentic way and were so vulnerable in all of their shortcomings, it really reminded me of that verse in 2 Corinthians 12 about when Paul says about how he takes pleasure in his weaknesses, and I saw that lived out so well at School of Leadership. And it really pushed me to go back into that sphere, which I think is so pertinent at the moment when, due to COVID, we are, as healthcare workers, we're very almost idolized as heroes and seen as superhuman, people that don't need rest and don't make mistakes. And to be a leader in that sphere and live out that culture of vulnerability and authenticity, that yes, we do sidestep and sometimes we do things wrong, and that's okay, I think is so important at the moment.
Wow. So for you, that week showed you a different model of leadership that was actually around not having everything sorted and pretending that everything's perfect, but actually of being real, about being vulnerable, about, you know, saying when you need help. And yeah, I can't imagine more of a wake-up call of a season for that kind of thing to be worked out in what you're doing. Thank you, Jemana. So Audrey, you were 18, which I was so surprised when I found that out. You were 18 when you joined us on the School of Leadership. Can you paint us a picture of the 18-year-old Audrey, because you're now 23? What was the 18-year-old Audrey like?
So I met the School of Leadership when I was 18. I was very unconfident. I didn't know the power of my own voice. I'd always been thrown and thrust into these positions of leadership, which was great. But I never really knew how to lead other people, let alone myself, effectively. And so that was what I was seeking when I went to the School of Leadership. And really what I took away from the school was the toolkit to help me along the journey, things that I could understand, things that I could take home, work at, and then use to carve my own journey into leadership.
So you talk of a toolkit that an 18-year-old Audrey left that week with, and then you've gone into business now, which we'll hear more about in a minute. Could you tell us a little bit more about the toolkit? Open that toolkit up for us. What does that look like?
So some of the key things that were in that toolkit were was just the importance of vulnerability, like Jemana said. Really being vulnerable with myself about my strengths, my weaknesses, and also being just open and honest with those people around me. That's not something that I was particularly good at or did very often, but I found that it took me so much further when people just saw the real me. And then also just key things like integrity and discipline and diligence in what I'm doing, and just really applying myself, because it's not just me that I'm doing whatever I'm doing for, it's actually serving God and seeing that higher purpose there. And so those are the two key things that I really took away and that I still use now in business.
That's brilliant, thank you. And in many ways, hearing these stories, I'm so aware, like we're talking through a screen, we're not all face to face. Life has changed. We are now walking through COVID-19, and it's what's amazing is it's not the things that toolkit is not irrelevant anymore. The stuff, Jemana, you've already mentioned that there's things that you learned on that week that you're now living out on a day-by-day basis that's been so crucial. So can you just open that up for us a bit more, Jemana? What things have you drawn on from your own relationship with Jesus, but also your time on the School of Leadership, what you learned about your character and building your character through particularly tough times? What kind of things have you drawn on through this season?
So I think two main things really stood out to me in these past couple of weeks while we've been on lockdown. And one thing came to my attention when we were in School of Leadership, where I learned a lot about personalities and how different personalities have strengths and weaknesses, because we did quite a lot of discussion around Myers-Briggs. And before the School of Leadership, I'd always struggled with this idea of myself, seeing myself as an introvert and that being a bad thing, being tired out by people, and how that was almost like a flaw. And I feel that during this season, that was almost something that happened even more because of this kind of anxiety that is in culture at the moment. My patients are a lot more anxious about things that they wouldn't be. And so I almost have to be there in a different way. I have to be there for them in a different way than I was before. And that requires so much more of me. And so learning that in School of Leadership and having those discussions about how actually the fact that I am so tired out is not necessarily a flaw, but that it's because I'm just so focused on these people that I give myself and my full attention to them, and knowing how much God delights in that, but that he is also has so much grace. He has also so much grace for my imperfection that comes along with it. The idea that I have to then draw myself away from people to himself and to be alone, to recharge. I've really been just coming back to this idea, and the teaching that I've had at School of Leadership has been absolutely brilliant in getting me to be more self-aware about these things. And then I guess the second thing, but almost more important, is the tool of scripture and learning scripture, and going back from a day of anxiety, which is anxiety about my job and anxiety about what tomorrow will bring and what new guidelines will be introduced in dentistry that I have to relearn, and having this wheel in my mind spinning at night and just being able to recite parts of a song to calm me down, I have been honestly so incredibly life-changing, and I've experienced that power through God's word like I never would have experienced if we hadn't been in this situation before.
So for you, there was definitely a very practical tool of knowing yourself, and understanding yourself and how you can use your skills and your tools to reach out to others and be there for others, but also not burn yourself into the ground. But then also that very, very real sense of building your life on the word of God when everything else seems to be falling apart, or when everything else seems to be anxiety led. That's incredible. And it's incredible to think of those things that are charging you as you go into healthcare, that as you're recharging with the word of God and with an understanding of yourself and how he's calling you to lead as Jemana in that space. Thank you. So Audrey, you're in the business sphere. We've heard about COVID-19 through the eyes of someone in healthcare. What, first of all, is your role, and what's that look like for you during COVID-19?
Yeah, so I'm a junior strategy consultant at a company called Onthesis. What we do is that we basically help companies such as Nestle develop their operations to become more environmentally sustainable, to do less harm to the world, and then also more socially responsible, so looking after the people at the end of their chain. In essence, what COVID has looked like is helping us to navigate, or help these businesses to navigate past COVID into a new world, a new way of working, which is what I think a lot of us are doing currently. So that's what my role is looking like now.
Wow, thank you. And for you personally, what have you had to draw on in terms of your own relationship with God, the stuff that you've worked on in terms of your character and your leadership for this time now? What's it look like for you personally?
Yeah, so very similar to Jemana, actually. Prior to COVID starting and lockdown, I was very addicted to being busy. Very, very addicted to being busy, always doing something, and it's something that God had been challenging me on. But with COVID, I keep calling this like a forced Sabbath, a time to just completely rest. And I always forget to tell myself that God doesn't want us to just go, go, go. He wants us to work from a place of godly rest. And so throughout COVID, that's something that has been at the forefront, something I've been very intentional in pursuing. And throughout this time, I feel like God's really been restoring me, restoring my energy, restoring my supplies. And so that's a key thing. And then also something as well that's been really powerful in this time is just being intentional. So intentionality with people and community, and realizing how important that is. And especially with COVID, I feel like it's brought on a new sense of community, and I'm really digging deep into that.
So good. I have to say, one of the favourite parts of my job is just getting to listen to people like Harry, Audrey and Jemana as they just share their story. They teach me so much. And we actually had a much longer interview with those two incredible women, but we just couldn't manage the time. So we'll be adding the rest of their interview up onto our YouTube channel. And Audrey's written a blog for us as well, if you'd like to find that on our website, or you can even subscribe to our e-news that comes out every month, and we can send that out to you. And I had the privilege of being with those two women at a fundraiser, another fundraiser for One Life last November. And at that fundraiser, I was speaking to people about this phrase, uncharted territory. I was telling people that young people today find themselves in uncharted territory. And it's mainly due to the rise in technology, which offers so much opportunity and broadens horizons, but also offers a real threat and a total change in the way and the norm of the way that young people are doing life today. Little did I know that in March, a few months later, that phrase uncharted territory would be the phrase to describe normal life across the globe as COVID-19 hit. Suddenly, everything that was familiar became unfamiliar. And that phrase uncharted territory meant we were all trying to navigate our way through. It's like everything was crushed, everything, systems, power, control, idols, was all just crushed. And my question is, who will rise out of the rubble? Who will it be? And what will they build? What will they mend? What will they innovate? Now, I've heard from both business leaders and church leaders that it's the young leaders who are going to rise and pioneer out of this season. They are to be the ones that will build, that will innovate, that will step into roles quicker than before. But what will they build? Who will they be? It's One Life's job to stand with those young leaders and give them the tools to lead out of their relationship with Jesus, to build the kingdom of God in every sphere of society. Young leaders rising up in the arts, in politics, in the media, in education, and bringing practical tools to call out the best in themselves and the best in those around them, to see society changed and God's kingdom to come. That's our call. That's what we're about. We're about backing those young leaders. And just imagine for a second on this rainy night, on Friday night, the rain's kicking in, but for a second, dream with me. What could the UK look like if in 20 years' time, we look back on this season and yes, we remember the struggle. We remember and recognise and are so thankful for the heroes that have led us through this, the key workers, the NHS. Yes, we remember the pain and we remember the suffering, but we also remember a turning point, a shift where a generation rose up and were released to lead out of their relationship with God, were released to bring good out of the bad. That's what we feel called to do, our bit towards that vision. Would you partner with us tonight? What would it look like for One Life to stand with those young people, to give young people the tools to lead? Well, what it looks like is there's going to be things that we're going to continue to commit to, continue to run after, and there's new things that God's shown us, some of the blueprints for how we need to change and pivot as we come out of this season and into the next. We're still committed to our School of Leadership. You heard it from Jemana, you heard it from Audrey. That is our deep dive into leadership character development for a week-long residential for our 17 to 25s. We're committed to that. And as soon as we can gather and as soon as we can do it, we're booked in, we're ready to go for next year. The second thing is our conference. We want to have those opportunities for young people to discover for the first time that out of their relationship with God, they can bring change and influence. Those light bulb moments for the 14 to 18-year-olds. We want to do it. We want to gather. And again, as soon as we're shown how, we're committed to doing that. But there are some things that have had to change, some things that have had to stop as well. Some of the things that we've discovered over this time has meant actually some of our plans from the beginning, they've changed and they've altered. And we've learned from our online gatherings with youth pastors that we have to track with youth pastors and journey and support churches to be the answer to raise up this generation to lead. And so we're going to be looking at launching a new training initiative for youth pastors where we journey with them and give them the tools to lead exceptionally, to raise up this generation through the local church. The other thing we want to do, as I think Helen has mentioned, we had a resource called the One Life Sessions, which is essentially all about One Life getting out of the way and giving the tools to the people to go and do it. That's why I say I love hearing the stories from Audrey and Jemana and Harry, because it's about them doing it. It's not about us or a talk or a platform. But those sessions at the moment, they're in one format and we need to get them in something different. We need to get them completely digitalized. We need to change the way we train so that we can get it out quicker and better and further afield, that no matter what country you come from, no matter what type of church you're in or the background from where your church is placed, if there is a church that is hungry to raise up young people to lead, then we can just give that away. We don't want to charge for it. We want to give it away. And as you can imagine, that's like standing at the bottom of Mount Everest at the moment, thinking, how are we going to do this? How are we going to raise the funds? How are we going to get it out to people? And that's why you're part of this journey. Would you partner with us to be able to put the tools in the hands of both youth pastors and young people so that we can see a generation raised up to lead? Tonight, that might look like this is your first introduction to One Life and you just want to do a one-off gift just to be part of the quiz, and that's incredible. But it might look like you want to say, you know what, for the price of a takeaway a month, I want to give my bit to see these resources released and given out to raise the bar for young people, not to just think, oh yeah, you know, I'm the church tomorrow. Maybe when I'm a bit older, I can make a difference. No, that they can do it now with their peers in their conversations on Zoom or when they get back into school, but also that those tools that they get given now are taken into their careers, into the arts, into media, into politics, so we can bring change, not just sit and comment on it, but bring change. Would you partner with us? We would love tonight to raise £2,500. I'm putting it out there. We would love to run after this. And the last time I checked, the message I got through, we were past £800. Would you help us just get that little bit further? Everything goes towards our goal to give young people the opportunity and the practical tools to know out of their relationship with God, out of their faith, they don't just go into their future, into their Septembers or their next years, or even in 10 years' time, just trying to make it through. They go in as leaders, called by God to go and bring change to the person next to them, to infrastructures in our society, and to the world around us. Tonight, we invite you to join us as we run after this vision and say yes to God. Join us. Helen, Rob, over to you.
Thank you so much, Liz. It's just amazing to hear that again. And, you know, for the final time tonight, it's over to you. Not for a cheeky extra round, but actually the opportunity to partner with this vision, like Liz said. There are loads of different ways to give. And, you know, for the price of a takeaway a month, and something we've definitely been doing during lockdown, for that price, you could help to support the conference, so that people like Harry and Jemana can experience that place, so that they can be there and experience what God might want to say to them. Where might they end up if they came? What might happen if this generation engaged with character development? What would politics look like? What would our education system look like Liz said? And it's just incredible that we get to partner with this vision.
One Life is fueled entirely by people who have cheered this organisation on for the last 10 years. Your donation tonight could help kickstart the fresh initiative Liz mentioned to train and track with youth pastors like me to help us raise up a generation through the local church to lead and influence and shape society. We know that the local church is where it's at, and that is the mechanism that One Life want to use to reach these young people. Wouldn't it be incredible if that is what the church became known for?
Yeah. So we're just going to leave these here for a little minute. Feel free to chat. Maybe it's a decision you have to make together as a family, or maybe you want to go and think about it. There's no kind of time limit on it. But as Liz said, we would love to be able to raise £2,500 tonight before the end. And we know all of you really want to know also who has won the quiz for tonight. Obviously, that is partly why we are all here. But before that, we're going to go through the answers. So, Rob, do you want to lead us in going through those answers?
So, back to round one, which was general knowledge. So we're going to do these quite fast, just so you know. And so question number one was, the tallest building in the world is located in which city? It's located in Dubai. Question number two was, which year was the original Toy Story film released in the UK? The answer was 1996. Question number three, what is the capital of New Zealand? It's Wellington. Question number four, the longest river in the UK is the River Severn. Question number five, how many hearts does an octopus have? It has 3. Question number 6, how many grandchildren does Queen Elizabeth II have? She has 8. Question number 7, what is Postman Pat's surname? It's Clifton, apparently. Question number 8, which is the largest of the Canary Islands? It's Tenerife. Question number 9, what is the name of the pet dog in The Simpsons? Santa's Little Helper. And question 10, the planet that is closest to Earth on average is Mercury. Round 2, Helen.
Brilliant. I'm sure there were some surprises in there for some people, but probably a lot of you are giving yourselves a bit of a pat on the back. I think it will be the same with this round. So famous faces, number 1 was Lewis Capaldi. You might have heard of him, you might not. He is pretty famous. Question number 2, Chris Whitty, who we have all grown, I'm assuming everyone has grown to know and love him too. I just think he's great. Chris Whitty, number 3. We've got Stella McCartney, who Becky informed me has very ethical clothing. So go Stella. Number 4, we have Greta Thunberg. Of course, we know her, the environmental activist. Question 5. We have Sir Isaac Newton. Yeah, maybe you got that from that painting, maybe not. Fantastic hair. Number 6, Billie Eilish. If you don't know her, she is a singer. I really like Billie Eilish. Number 7, we have James Corden, who is wonderful. Number 8, we've got Jessica Ennis Hill. Question number 9, we have the evangelist Billy Graham. I wouldn't have known that was him. There we go. And question number 10, we have Prince Edward. Not a famous dog enthusiast, it turns out. Brilliant.
Okay, round 3. Are you smarter than a 10-year-old? Question number 1 was all about baking and about cakes and the ratios. So in a cookie recipe, the ratio of sugar was 3 to 4. If you had 80 grams of flour, how much sugar would you need? You would need 60 grams to make that recipe work. Question number 2, it's iron that magnets are made from. The metal are made from is iron. Question number 3, the largest city in the world by population is Tokyo. In France, if you were to buy from a warehouse,
Boulangerie.
There we go. You'd be buying bread. One of our multiple choice questions, number 5, pyramids is what we were looking for. The famous buildings were pyramids. Which sports ball is heaviest? Is a shot put, which interestingly, we kind of semi gave you a clue in that round by talking quite a lot about shot puts, but maybe you got that, maybe you didn't. A substance that mosquitoes lay their eggs in is water. The type of creature in Moby Dick from the classic that I have not read and now feel like I should is a whale. The shape with 9 sides is a nonagon, new piece of information to me. And the word that describes the speed that is played at is tempo.
Brilliant.
I wonder how people are feeling, Helen.
I know. I feel like after those 3 rounds, you probably have quite a good idea of how well you've done on this quiz. So the final round, round 4 emoji dingbats. So the first one was pot noodles. We had a pot of honey and a bowl of noodles, equating to pot noodle. Number 2, we've got some corn on the cob and then some flakes, which of course could only be corn flakes, the cereal. Number 3, we have Blue Dragon. Rob, do you know what Blue Dragon is? I feel like it's.
Is it not like a Chinese like they make like Chinese sauces and stuff?
I think maybe it is. I had that in my head too, but I wasn't 100% sure. But Blue Dragon, well done if you got that. This one I thought was good. Burger King, so you've got a burger and the crown. Of course, if you've been into the restaurant, you know that you can actually find those crowns there. Number 5, we have Tango. The dancing lady was representing Tango. Great drink. Number 6, we have Pizza Express. Pizza Express. Again, they're so obvious once you know what they are. Question 7, we've got Fever Tree. That's a tonic. Is that right, Rob?
Yeah.
Brilliant. We've got Fever Tree. Question 8, Party Rings. The classic childhood party snack. Where else would you find those? And then I think this one's really hard. Heinz. So we've got a hi and then New Zealand, NZ, Heinz. Brilliant. And then question 10, final question of the quiz. We had a cart and a door, cart door, the lovely ice cream brand. Wow, there we go. So those are all the rounds completed. You may be able to gauge how well you've done. So it's time now to announce what you all really want to know, and that is the winners. Rob, do you want to give us a little bit of a drum roll?
See how this goes on camera.
Yeah, messed up sound. So there were a lot of joint third places, but in third place, we said we would use the timing that things were sent in. So in third place, we have the Plum Jones team. So congratulations, guys. Third place goes to Plum Jones. They got 32 points. So then, do you want to reveal second place, Rob?
Yeah, so second place also on 32 points, but again, we talked about their submitting of answers, is how we've done it, is Michael's relatives. So well done to you guys, also on 32.
Fantastic. I don't know who Michael is, but Michael, you've got a very smart relative, so well done. And then in first place, big drum roll, please, Rob.
Dramatic pause as well, please.
Dramatic pause. We have Felix's Toes with 33 points. So Felix's Toes, well done. Love the name. I believe they're from Felix Stowe. And they've got 33 points. So congratulations. You guys have won the £50 Amazon gift card, and a team member will be in touch with you. So well done. Thank you so much all for playing. And just to remind you, it's not too late to give. You can still find all of the details on our website on the link below. Please do click through and have a look. We'd love to stay in touch with you as well. There's opportunities on the website to sign up to our monthly mailing about what's been happening in the world of One Life. And also you can sign up to our monthly prayer email if you want to just join us in praying for the young people and youth pastors and student pastors who are working across this nation. Also, a quick flag, if you're a young adult, we've got a teaching week coming up from the 20th to the 24th of July. It's going to be an evening of Zooms. Everyone loves the Zoom, but we're going to be looking at some leadership questions. So we're going to be looking at topics like what does it look like to have your identity fully rooted as a leader? How can we engage with emotional health as Christian leaders? And loads of other things. Make sure to go and have a look. The Wednesday night's free and the other ones you can buy tickets for. But thank you so much for joining us. We've really loved it. And this is goodbye. Goodbye from me and goodbye from Rob.